friends, and welcome back to my homestead. I'm in a garden today because I am working on transplanting or multiplying my strawberry plants. So I hear this very often from beginner gardeners or just people who don't know simply by calling strawberry patch, and when they show me this strawberry patch, it looks like a whole area just completely covered in strawberries, and they're all intertwined and they've been sitting in the same spot for several years. Well, it's simply because we don't know how properly to grow strawberries. See, a long time ago, strawberries were developed to live and grow in the same place for many years. Unfortunately, the newer variety of strawberries are designed to only grow and produce for 3 years. Only 3 years, and that's it. After that, they no longer produce. So it is important to keep count of the row, when it was planted, when it can produce, and when to get rid of that row and start with the new. So let me explain something to you. See, if you plant something in the spring, you're really not supposed to expect or harvest any fruit that year. This is why it's better to plant it in the fall, such as right now, is to plant it in the fall, early fall, so it will give it a chance to give good strong roots, establish its roots, and then produce in the spring. And then spring will count as year one, and you can actually harvest strawberries that year. But if you plant something in the spring, you need to break off any kind of blossoms and not allow any fruit to develop in the first year if you planted it in the spring. This is why I'm going to do this right now in the fall. So I have several plants that have been in my ground for 2 years, and then this is their second year, and I allowed new shoots to develop, and I'm going to cut off those shoots that already establishing new root system, and I'm going to be transplanting them into a new row. And then in the spring, I will expect some fruit. So let me explain that to you in a little bit more detail. So I'll take you over to my strawberry plants. So this small little patch or row of strawberries that I have they are 2 years old. So this is the true story, guys. You ready? Even from the same variety of strawberries, you may get very sweet and not so sweet of strawberries. You could get very large or not so large. So it is very important that on the year 2 that you mark which bush will produce a very good strawberry. Okay, you mark them so you will know what's good and which one you want to save and which ones you don't want. Okay, you're not helping. You're not helping at all. Okay, you're sitting right where you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. Buddy, you can't be here. You gotta go. You're in my way. Yes, you're in my way. I love you too. My word. Personal space. Yeah, personal space, buddy. Okay, go chase somebody. Go chase a cat or something. Go. Oh my word. Back to my story. Okay, so on year 2, take a ribbon or a stick or a little flag and mark which strawberries are nice and sweet. Please excuse the construction. My husband is building me a beautiful greenhouse. Now he's gonna sit there. Okay. So on year 2, it is important that you mark which ones are nice and sweet and produce good fruit. You put a little flag or a ribbon or a little stick or something, and you want to save the shoots from those plants only. Okay, so that's on year 2. Then on year 3, in the spring, as soon as it begins to blossom, take a look to see which ones you marked and don't allow them to blossom. Break off those little flowers. Don't let them produce any fruit and allow them to produce shoots. Okay, now the shoots that come up from the plant, okay, so look at this one. It produced shoot 1 and shoot number 2, and it's working on 2 more. Can you see this, guys? Come a little closer. So here's my plant. It produced a shoot, and it already attached itself to the ground. Okay, it gave a little roots. So when you see this happening, when they're giving roots, you actually add more soil so they can give you good roots, because that's the one you are going to be cutting off. You're going to be cutting it off, digging it up, okay, and you're going to be transplanting into a new row. All right, because on year 3 this plant is no good. After 3rd year, you need to dig it up and throw it away, okay? So I'm gonna be going through my row right now, and I'm gonna be cutting off only the 1st and the 2nd, especially if they gave roots. Like this one, see? This one gave root. And then the shoot keeps going. So one gave root, the second shoot keeps going, you gave a 2nd root. And then it's trying to make a 3rd one, but I'm gonna cut them off. It's not good. So these 2 are perfect for transplanting. But even in the patch that I'm leaving, because this is only 2nd year, I'm gonna let this row live for another year. Look through these plants. Look through these plants. So see a diseased one, make sure you cut them off. Clean it up in the fall. Very important that you do that. Clean it up and throw them away. Obviously, we had some sort of bugs attacking. This is why it's important to add those nutrients, bioavailable, natural probiotics into this one. Needs to go, because we're trying to combat anything that might be destroying our leaves. See this one as well, this one as well. So we need to go through them and clean them up, what's bad, so it does not survive for next year. Because in the winter months, that's when all the little buggers are trying to, they're burrowed into the ground and they want to survive over the winter. And we're trying to stop that. Now, because I'm not using any kind of chemicals to treat my soil, I've got to do the natural way. So I'm going to be going through the row, cutting off those, in Russian we call them mustache, you know, like a little mustache, little shoots, right? Little shoots are giving roots. So when should you do this? In the fall. When should you do it? Well, obviously have to look at your environment, your growing zone. For my growing zone, we're in a grown 6A. I know that the real cold will happen sometime around Thanksgiving time. So I have about 30, 40 days to do this right now. Because when I transplant it into the new soil, I want to give it a chance to give good, strong root system so it survives the winter, okay? And no disease will attack it. I will put some sort of mulch around it. I will put some leaves around it for the winter time to protect them. And then in the spring, it will count as year 1 and they can produce fruit. Isn't that wonderful? So, going back to my work. So I need to cut them, pull them all out and transplant them in a new soil. See, just like that. Isn't it beautiful? And it has beautiful. So I am preparing beds for the new strawberry plants. And you know, just like any other plant, strawberries need good, nutritious soil. And very often, especially if they stay in the same soil for 3 years, it becomes depleted of nutrients. So we need to replenish that. So besides putting lots and lots of organic compost, I'm going to be adding a few more things to the soil to make it nice and rich, especially because you are planting things in the fall. So things that I'm going to be adding some organic fertilizer that I bought that contains potassium, magnesium, and sulfur, because it's very difficult to find sulfur that is friendly for the soil. Be careful buying commercially prepared sulfur, because a lot of those are hiding a lot of unwanted heavy materials that we don't want to add to our soil. I'm also going to be adding some wood ash. You know, the wood ash, not the charcoal, but wood ash from a fireplace or from a fire pit. So all that summer when you were making s'mores, I hope you have some of that ash to sprinkle. Not a lot. I mean, how much? Literally maybe a handful just for a few square feet. So not much at all. But besides all of that, I'm going to be adding this product, and I'm not sponsored by it, but it is a Recharge, it's called, and it contains a lot of natural living microbes. See, the soil needs microbes to live, to survive. And unfortunately, we have a lot of unwanted bugs and fungus in the soils right now, and that needs to be combated with healthy biome that we need to add to the soil. Just like in the human gut system, we need to have natural probiotics, right, to maintain the good versus bad bacteria that we keep in a gut system. Same thing with the soil. So I'm going to be adding this, and I purchased this one in particular because it has trichoderma, and trichoderma is a wonderful natural fungi that will fight against the bad fungus that we have in the soil. So, but it goes a long way. It takes just a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon for a whole gallon of water that you dilute, and then you pour it on the soil. So right now, I'm just adding my compost, and then after that, I'm gonna sprinkle all of my my natural additives that I'm gonna mix into the soil. And then I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna divide up my plants and plant them in the soil. The soil is ready for planting. So let me show you how we are going to be dividing the plants. So I'm spacing them apart about a foot apart, and I'm planting them about 5-6 inches deep, not too crazy deep. But I want to give them enough chance to make a good root system, especially now because it's going to be cold in a month or two. So how pretty is that little guy, huh? Copper, you can't walk on my new strawberries. You hear me? You can't walk on my new strawberries. Some of them have soil on them, some do not. So this is a bad leaf. I'm going to make sure to remove it because it looks bad. But see, it already has a beautiful root system. So I need to make sure that it goes into the soil nicely. I hope you are encouraged to grow strawberries. Try to get away from that patch mentality where they grow wild in a circle and produce a lot of green foliage and zero fruit. Cut off those shoots. Give them a new soil. Count how many years they're in the ground and produce beautiful, beautiful sweet strawberries in your own garden. So if you know your farmer friends who grow strawberries, you ask them for shoots because this is the time of the year that everyone cuts off their shoots. So friends, I hope you are encouraged to grow your own strawberries and you learn something new.